Wait a minute.
Say hi, this is Jimmy Dash. No,
Okay.
this is Dash Seals.
Hi, this is Jim Seals.
And this is Dash Crofts.
Listen for us when the interview takes a look at Seals and Crofts. Now you know why I don't talk.
When the wind blows down Cisco, Texas, you know you better hunt you a hole. But there's always my different faces waiting to greet you at the door.
Let's go back to 1919. That's when Jimmy Seals' grandfather left his home state of Tennessee and made his way to Texas to work in the oil fields. He brought his young wife along with him and his 6-year-old son Wayland. When he would finish work, he'd come home and play his banjo on the front porch, and that became a Seals family tradition. His son Wayland learned everything he could from his father, and Wayland did the same for his sons. Two of them, Danny and Jimmy Seals, would go on to be major recording artists.
Most people know that you have a relative in the business, that's common knowledge.
Not too many.
This is Irving Berlin's son. No, why am I throwing Mr. Berlin's name around today? Jimmy Seals is your brother, is that? Did he teach you anything along the way?
Well, we used to have a family group together many years ago, and we get to play together every once in a while.
What kind of music did you play at home?
We played country and western music.
Hillbilly music, that's what they used to call it, hillbilly. Now it became country and western, then it became country.
The Seals boys could play just about anything they got their hands on. Jimmy started out at the age of 4 on guitar. When he was 6, they ordered him a fiddle from the Sears catalog, and by the time he was 9, he had won the Texas State Fiddle Championship.
Well, I have an old rotten one that I carry around. It's it's getting so old now that it's dilapidated, but we play it every once in a while. At the concerts now, when we play, it seemed like people everywhere like fiddle music. And so we'll begin to play sometimes at the end of the concert, and the whole house will get up and they'll dance and clap their hands and just go crazy.
Well, you've been playing it a long time, haven't you?
I started when I was about 6, and I really started, I guess, when I was about 9. The time I was 9, I was playing.
Have you got the fiddle here?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, why don't we do that? I'll hold the guitar and Dash and I will run away together.
You know what the real story about that is? His dad ordered one through Sears and Roebuck catalog. That's, lived out in the country. And he had a dream about the fiddle when he was in bed about the notes. He said, I'll put my finger here and this finger here. And when he got the thing, he could play it already, because he already had his song
it's very scary being around you anyhow. You're not that exciting, but you're very scary. How about now the fiddle virtuoso, Mr. James Seals, ready to perform one of his great works. What's it going to be?
Well, this is called the 8th of January.
Right.
You're on.
Hog call. calling you?
Well, friends and neighbors here at the old Barbie Ranch.
Long before we were talking about Americana, the Seals family was doing it. It was country, it was western, it was swing, it was rockabilly, it was bluegrass. It was all mixed together. It was music. It was Texas music. And you might not know this, but Waylon had his own band locally and recorded a few singles. Here's a taste.
Listen, everybody, while I tell you the news, a new song playing called the Oil Patch Blues. Oh, me, oh, my. It's the Oil Patch Blues. I'm telling you, baby, they're rocking to the Oil Patch Blues. With the double beat, the rhythm, and a rockabilly tune, it's sweeping the country like a wild monsoon. Oh, me, oh, my. It's the Oil Patch Blues. I'm telling you, baby, they're rocking to the Oil Patch Blues.
So now things get kind of interesting. Jimmy Seals, as a teenager, taught himself tenor saxophone. He wasn't allowed to play in his high school band because he couldn't read music. But that didn't stop Jimmy Seals from cutting a record. He cut a record called Sneaky Pete, and this record would prove to be pivotal to his future and to Dash Crofts. In 1958, there was a band called the Champs, and they had a surprise hit with a song called Tequila. They went out on tour, and within a couple of months the band broke up, and they desperately needed a replacement saxophone player and a drummer. To make a long story short, that's how Jimmy Seals, at 16 years of age, and Dash, I believe at 17, made it into the Champs. They went on tour with them, and after the tour, they were asked to join the band. They moved to Los Angeles and stayed with the Champs 7 years. They had some other famous bandmates along the way. Glenn Campbell was in the Champs for a while, and Delaney Bramlett from Delaney and Bonnie was also in the Champs for a very brief time.
The Champs. So, first of all, would you introduce yourself and tell us where your hometown is?
Jerry Cole, De Pere, Wisconsin.
Hometown lad, and?
Dash Croft, Cisco, Texas.
Well, we got a text.
Bob Morris from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Glenn Campbell from Murfreesboro, Arkansas.
Jimmy Seals, Abilene, Texas. We certainly have a good crossroads of the USA.
A lot of them.
Now, Bob, how long have you been out on the tour?
Well, we've been out about 3 weeks now, Johnny.
Getting a little tired?
Oh, no, we're living it up, man. We're having a ball.
How do you like the swinging crowd down here in the valley?
They're real good. We're having a good time up here.
And now, when does the tour end?
It ends the 27th, which is next Sunday.
And do you have anything in mind coming up?
Yes, I think we're going to Texas.
Well, back to the hometowns there, huh?
Yeah, Dash has got to go home.
So we get Jerry up here so he can visit all the folks?
Oh, we'll pull him away from the snow for a while. I think he wants to get away anyway.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Well, I want to thank you so much. You got to get back to the bandstand now. And your big record coming up is...
Tough Train. I think's the side of it.
Oh, we've been playing it a lot.
Have you really?
I got a surprise from your past, because I want you to look over here. You believe that over there? You were a basic greaser on that picture. Look at you playing over there. Look at that hairdo. Do you believe you must have been? What's that, about a 40 weight?
40 weight oil.
40 weight oil on that hair. Do you look like you're playing at a sock hop or a prom there or something?
I think it was a gym in a school. I think it was
the
maybe
Champs, right?
The Champs, exactly.
There you go.
You notice anything in the picture? There's 2 people in that picture that are here on the show with us tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one's Brandon Lee?
Nut. The one on the saxophone is Jimmy, and the drummer is Dash. I know him as Jimmy and Dash, but folks, they're known throughout the world as one of the best singing groups that you will ever hear. My good friends and special guest stars, Seals and Crofts.
Yeah.
Here's a fun photo of 3 former champs. But to get back to our champ story with Glen Campbell, he left earlier than Seals and Crofts, and he wanted to start a solo career, and he managed to get signed by Crest Records. And there in Los Angeles, he also formed a band that he could gig around town with and earn some extra money. He called them the GCs, short for Glen Campbell. And he enlisted his buddies Seals and Crofts when he went into the recording studio and cut this single. While he was still a member of the Champs, Jimmy's record company allowed him to cut some singles under his own name. This is one particularly good song. It's called Yesterday of Our Love, written and performed by Jimmy Seals, and what a powerful vocal and a funky song. Sounds like it could have been a hit.
Since we're not together, I get to thinking of good times we had together, yeah, in the yesterday of our love. Oh, say I can't deny it. It's you that I'm thinking of. The way that you used to hold me in the yesterday of our love, yeah. Yesterday of our love. Too angry people, too proud to say we're wrong. Too foolish people cried. Has kept us apart too long. So come on, let's walk together underneath the stars above. Help me find the doorway back to the yesterday of our love, yeah. Too angry people, too proud to say we're wrong.
The Champs officially disbanded in 1965, and it was a turning point in music and in society. All of a sudden we had the British invasion in rock music, the Beatles, the Stones, the Yardbirds, the Who, the Animals, the Kinks, and on and on and on, and there was no room left for American groups for a couple of years. Jimmy and Dash tried to make a new change with a group called the Mushrooms, and one important thing came out of that. They teamed up with Louis Shelton, who would be their future producer for Warner Brother Records and their lead guitarist in the studio, electric guitarist in the studio. That band didn't last long, but they were in there with 2 of the Day sisters, who were the daughters of their future manager, Marcia Day. After the demise of the Mushrooms, they formed a band called the Dawnbreakers, also with some of the Day sisters. And here's a short clip of their music.
I can touch every feeling. I play her game. Artificial the light, artificial the feeling. I stand here away from this plastic.
The Dawnbreakers didn't last very long, but some important things did happen during that time. Dash Crofts and Louis Shelton each married one of Marcia Day's daughters. The Day family were Baha'is, and Dash and Louis became Baha'is, and a short time afterwards, Jimmy Seals also became a Baha'i. After their acceptance of the Baha'i faith, they experienced a spiritual transformation, and they decided to reflect that in their music. To do that, they decided to be intimate and acoustic, and that meant that Dash no longer played the drums and Jimmy Seals no longer concentrated on sax. He switched to guitar, and Dash began to play the mandolin on stage. They released their first album in 1969, and essentially 20 years before MTV started the Unplugged series, Seals and Crofts were doing that on stage everywhere. The next clip you'll see is them on the Johnny Carson show, doing basically a mini Unplugged concert in front of perhaps 7 million people at that time. And that will be followed by a few more snippets that I think you might enjoy.
My next guests are two of the most popular young composers and performers in contemporary music. They recently won a gold record for their hit Summer Breeze and were just nominated for a Grammy Award for the best pop performance by a vocal duo, which is about as good as you can get in the music business. This is their current album called Summer Breeze. Would you please welcome Seals and Crofts.
This song is a symbolic song about the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah. We call it Hummingbird. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hummingbird, mankind was waiting for you to come flying along. Heavenly songbird, we were so long. We climbed you, oh hummingbird, lend us your wings, let us soar in the atmosphere of awe. Lift us up to the heaven of holiness, oh source of our being, oh hummingbird. Hummingbird, don't fly away, fly away. Hummingbird, don't fly away, fly away. In you I found a fragrance, I love you till I die. I just love you, love you, love you. I don't even know the reason. Don't fly away, 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 don't
You sure do shine, diamond girl. You sure do shine, diamond girl. You sure do shine, diamond girl. You sure do shine, yes you do now. Sunshine and watch it play. Favorite tears. Now I look back, all the good times that we once shared together. Remember me, remember you. Red is so blue, baby. High above the avenue, Lord, I miss you. Don't understand it, why you be that way. I don't understand why you be that way. We had different things, we all wanted, and I can't stand to see it slip away. So I'm here, there's a little bit room for the wind to bring you back to me. Back to me, back to me. Red is so blue, baby. I'm above the avenue, Lord, I miss you. Deep in the evening, late in the night. Deep in the evening, late in the night. We used to stroll out on the sidewalk and watch the flickering of the center line. Blow me out the air, somewhere in the darkness. I keep expecting to hear you call my name. You call it